Okay, question worksheet 5. Is this in fireproof form the way it sits in front of you right now? Yes. This would be a gift wrap problem for you. So, worksheet 5 comes after worksheet 4. Oh, okay. What in the world? Great day 127. What in the world? I don't know. What is A? 1/2. When there's a negative sign in front of it. Now, I'm not trying to be dumb there. I'm not trying to be dumb. Okay. I think you're thinking about H and K. Is that what you're getting at? Now, it would be a lot more obvious if A and B were negative. All right? And then we would have some reflections going on. I'm going to stick with positives because I think that you guys are doing enough just to get this thing moved around and stretched and shrunk and all that good stuff. Okay. B. What do you got for B? 2. Okay. H. Positive pi over 4. K. -1. We know that the period is 2 pi times the absolute value of A. What do we got? Pi, right? We did a shrink by 1/2. Horizontal shrink by 1/2. What did we do to the amplitude? Did we shrink it or stretch it? Stretched it. To what? To 2, yes. It was 1, we doubled it, and now we have 2. Get your center line graphed. Find your HK. Find your HK. All right, so where is it? Where's pi over 4, comma -1? Yeah? What do you got? Well, if this is pi that we got here, what's smack dab in the middle there?
Pi over 2. So it would be the...
Oh, it'd be right there. Yes. Now, another way for you to understand this graph is that pi was split into 4 pieces. How much of is each one of those pieces? Pi over 4, right? 1/4 of a pi. So HK is this magic point right here. Now, it's a cosine wave. You got all the rest of the information. Graph it. Show me what you got. Okay.
Is that the only thing?
Well, no, you're good because I typically will find it at point, but it doesn't matter. I think what you did was also correct. Because you have more than one side.
Is it above?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does.
So you got your HK right there. You went up to, I like that. That's going to correct. So you know 4 blocks, right? Inside that group of 4, it has to go all the way down and all the way back up. No problem? Yes, sir. Nicely done. I mean, she did good over the top, right there. You know, maybe she went too high, and then she so, since it's cosine, we're going to use the amplitude since it sits underneath the maximum. We're going to go up 2 units. You want to graph it. Not using the period. This is why it's important that once we find this information, we write down what our periods are. So that we find that first point, and then we go over to the right, pi units, and we know that we'll be at the top of another one of the hills. So in between, it's got to go down all the way to the bottom. It'll look like that in between. That makes sense? So between there and there, it has the highest cycle. So the bottom will actually be this is our HK value. And that means this point is underneath the maximum. If our amplitude is 2, then that means the first real point on the graph is right there. Wait a second. Period is now being cut in half. That means 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks later, we should be starting over.
That's pretty good. Everyone was tired.
We had
11 people. We had 11 people this time. Yesterday? Yeah. It was until like 4:30.
No, you went too far with that here. So we did up, that's good. We go 5 units. How many blocks is 5 units? 4.
What's your jump?
I'm doing director's lunch Friday night, and then I'm doing judge runner Saturday.
It looks like the motion. Just like everything unties and stops.
How far to the right do you need to travel before you find the top of the next hill?
I'm just doing it with my kids.
Okay, let me go through this with you. Several of you found the top of the first hill. How far to the right should I be traveling before I find the next one? Pi units, which is... Guys, I can't talk over you. It's ridiculous. We have a shorter class period than other periods, than my 5th. I want to record this. I went through all of the 4, a good chunk of the worksheet on 4. And so now I'm doing worksheet 5 with you, so you can go back and watch the worksheet 4, and my other class can come watch the worksheet 5. So we'll do some of worksheet 4 as well. In between these two maximums, I have to go all the way down to the bottom, which would be here, 2 units below the center line. And then I can find the places where it crosses that center line, and I can get the shape of the rest of the graph. Any questions that you have about that? Okay. Question 2. Is that in fireproof form? Nope. What are the 2 things you're going to do to figure out what's going on with y? Subtract 1 and divide by 3. So now we know what's going on with the y. But we got to figure out what's going on with the x. We have 1/2 x minus 4 all over 1 inside the parentheses. In fireproof form, we want 1x. What are you going to multiply that by to change 1/2 x into 1x? You're going to multiply by 2. And if you do it there, you better do it here. So, what do you get on top? Oh, is that a pi? Whoops. Let me change that color so I got an x minus pi over 4. Here we go. That looks better. So what do we got when we take the 2 times the negative pi over 4? Oh, come on. This is killing me. Negative pi over 4. That's like, if I'm just doubling it. Negative 1/2 pi? What would they call that at a party? Negative pi over 2. Thank you. Okay? Yes. Folks, if you're struggling with that, actually do the multiplication and then reduce it. What's on the bottom of that? 2. So now we know, and we can figure out A, B, H, and K. Let's see here. What's A? Anybody got A? 2. How about a B? 3. Or 3, however you say it. H. Positive pi over 2. And K. Positive 1. Positive 1, right? So we've got our center line. We've got our HK. Pi over 2, 1. Graph it. Oh, what's the period, by the way? 4 pi. Ooh, that'll be interesting. The period has been stretched, so it is 4 pi. What's the amplitude? Amplitude is 3. Sorry, I'm running out of room here. Graph it. I was. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, what are they going to do with that? No, do not give up. Hear this trick, Joe, do not give up. We persevere.
Doing that.
Alright, what do you got? Well, okay, you can at least, if that's that green dot is HK, you understand how we got that? On the wave or under the max? Well, it's cosine, you know what cosine is, sits underneath the max. So how far up do I need to go to find that first point? 3 units, so the first point's going to be right there. The top of the hill, right? Okay. How far to the right should I go before I find the next point where it does the same thing? High. Where is it? Off the ground. So, or we could figure out where half of that is. somewhere over here is 4 pi, and halfway in the middle, don't you have to be at the bottom of the wave? So we could actually figure out where the bottom of the wave is, because that would be on the graph, right? Since the top of the next hill goes off the graph, I would suggest you find the low point.
But there is a high.
Correct. So what we're going to end up doing is this. We're gonna find one side and then duplicate the other direction. That's what I want them to do.
Subtract by 4 pi.
That's what's hoping. Once they find one half, that makes sense. But you see that okay. So if you know that 4 pi units to the right is the maximum, then half of that is 2 pi, wherever that line is, that's to be bottom. So find that bottom point. I know several of you found the top of the wave. And then panic started to set in because you're thinking, how in the world am I going to find the next one? Because it's 4 pi units, and that's not on my screen. Well, we could do a couple things. Is there enough distance to go back to the left to find the top of the previous hill? Could we do that? Because that's still off the graph, isn't it? So that didn't help us. Maybe what we need to do is use the period, cut it in half. What is half of the period? 2 pi. So if I use 2 pi, which would be, let's see here, there's 1 pi, right, 4 blocks. There's another pi, there's 2, that's 2 more. And I have to be at the bottom of the cycle. So that's the bottom of the wave right there. Which means halfway in the middle there, I got to be here. Is there any way that I could use that information to go the opposite direction? Like, for instance, how far to the left should I go from that dot to find another low value? 4 pi, right? So we can do that. That's on screen right there. Right? So let's see here. 4 blocks. There's 8 blocks. 12 blocks. 16 blocks. Right there. Right? I'll take the purple line off. So we could come all the way over here and find that point, and then we know that point, and we can do that. That was a pretty cool question. Okay. Question 3. Unless somebody has a question about that one.
Wait, can you zoom in again?
Zoom in again, yes. Is that fireproof form? Alright, so what are you going to do? To get the y's, take care of the y's. Or to figure out what's going on with the y's. Come on, what are you going to do with the plus 2? Subtract it. What are you going to do with that? Multiplying by 2? Divide it. Now, what's going on inside there? 2x plus pi over 2 all over 1. And we want it to be 1x. What are we going to multiply by? 1/2. Top and bottom. I'll do the hard part on the bottom. What do you got next? What do you got for x plus on the top?
X plus pi over 4.
Pi over 4. Yep. X plus pi over 4 divided by 1/2. A, B, H, K. Man, we can still hear you. I think they think I'm deaf. Oh, let's see here. Anybody know the A? 1/2. B. 2. H. Negative pi over 4. K. 2. Period of the function. Ah, that's pi, right? Because you cut it in half. Amplitude. 2. It's a sine function, folks. Be careful. Graph it. Yep. You'll crack up laughing and go, I cannot believe it. Yes, it's on the points on the graph. The sine function contains that point HK. Negative pi over 4, 2 is actually one of the coordinates on the sine graph. Yes. Starting right there, and it's a sine function, so that point's on the way, right? Okay, so how far to the right do I go before I find a place where it starts over again? According to the period we found, it's only one
cosine function, you actually start with that point. That HK right there is the first place where you'll start. Don't go up, not yet. Okay, so sine wave, remember we find the first, we find the last. In between my two fingers, it has to complete one sine wave. Then we find the middle dot, which is right there on the center line. Between, it's right there on the center line. You gotta get down the sine wave pattern. See, this we've been doing a lot of cosine. The sine wave pattern has three dots. Between the first two it goes. The second two is down.
Okay, so negative pi over 4, comma 2. Is that a point on the wave or under the max? Is that on the wave or under the max? On the wave. Using the period of the function, moving to the right. Guess what? You could also move to the left if you chose to. Okay. In between those 2 points, I should complete one sine wave. So, I always like to graph the first and the last point. Where's the third point I like to graph on a sine wave? Smack dab in the middle. Between the first two red dots, what do? I go up, how far? 2 units, right? Because that's the amplitude. Between the second and third red dots on that center line, what do? I go down, and I can make my picture. Okay. Suppose you're given a graph and you are asked to come up with, let's just do fireproof form. Let's not worry about anything else. Okay? So, we're just going to worry about this fireproof form. We need to be able to look at this picture and come up with, according to the directions, a cosine function. Okay? What kind of things do you think are important for me to figure out when I look at the picture? Okay, before I can do amplitude, I need what? I need the K value. I need the center of the wave. Alright, well, so what's the K value? -2. How did I know? Because I looked at the top and the bottom, and I cut it in half. I seriously did. I just eyeballed it and chopped it right in half. We'll be nice to you. We won't make it look weird So, now that I know that, can we get the amplitude? What do you think? Amplitude is 4. And so what information do you get from that? We do not get the period from that, but we do get B, right? Now we know the B value is 4. So we've got K and we've got B. We do need to find the period of the function. How are you going to calculate the period of the function by looking at that? Counting is an excellent choice. But where do you start from?
Or does it matter? Does it matter where I start from? Correct. As long as I start and end in the same spot. So, if you think it's easier to go from here to here, that's fine. If you think it's easier to go from here to here, that's fine. If you think it's easier to go from here to here, it's fine. It's up to you. It is 1 pi, that's true. The period of this is 1 pi.
Okay, so we're going to ignore the negative for right now. Yes, we should have absolute value bars around the A. I'll get to your question in a second. What's A? 1/2. Thank you very much. I think you would just divide, right? You'd take that equation and divide by 2 pi, and you would see the pi's cancel out, and you'd be left with 1/2. In other words, there had to have been a shrink by 1/2 to get that period to reduce down to that. Okay. Y minus what? Would it be plus 2? Yes, it would be. Over 4. Good, good. Equals cosine. Shh. Let them figure it out. Okay, now. What's my A value down there on the bottom? Pick what value or what you think needs to go next to that X. Show me what you think needs to go next to that X. Excellent choice. Good choice. So if you're going to stop right there, then you're telling me that oh, sir. I thought maybe she made her choice. Okay, is that a plus or a minus?
How do you minimize?
So if you think it's a plus, then that means you think negative pi over 2. So if you're telling me that this is my H right here at negative pi over 2. Sorry, negative pi over 2. So you think that's HK if you think negative pi over 2, which is what you're saying.
I got it.
So you think that's yeah. No. No, we're trying to get him to think. That's why I left it open-ended, because several people are choosing different things, and they're all going to be right. So there's a very specific way to do it, but there's multiple answers in this room that are correct. What? Okay, what's the important part of HK for a cosine wave? It has to sit on the center line where? Where does HK have to sit on the center line under, or it has to be under a maximum? How many people chose positive pi over 2? So you have, in your numerator, you have x minus pi over 2. You're correct. Good job. How many people put x plus pi over 2, which would be negative pi over 2? You're correct. How many people put x minus, let's see here, x minus 3 pi over 2? X minus 3 pi over 2. Nobody did that, but if you did, you would have been correct as well. The question was asked of me, aren't there multiple answers which are right for H? Sure. This thing goes on forever and ever in both directions. There's lots of choices I could pick for H, but they must be underneath the maximum on the center line. Yeah? Correct. Okay. Sine wave. What's the center line?
It's 3, 1.
It looks like we max out at 5 and we bottom out at negative 2. What's the center line? Ooh. What's halfway in the middle between? Am I right? I'm wrong. That's a 6, isn't it? Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 5. Okay, and that's a negative 1 because I didn't count right. Sorry. 5 and negative 1. What's halfway in the middle?
2 halves.
What's the distance from 5 to negative 1? That's 6 units, right? So if I go up 6 units from negative 1, or, I'm sorry, half of that. If I go up 3 units from negative 1, or down 3 units from 5, I get 2. What's your B value? What? The B value is your amplitude? 3. Right? Remember, your amplitude is the distance from the center line to the top or the center line to the bottom. What's the period of the function? I got to vote for 4 pi. Is that true? Can I get a witness on that one?
Yes, I agree.
I got to vote for 4 pi for the period of this. Is that true? Yeah, it's easy to tell from the top of that hill to the top of the next. That's negative 2 pi to 2 pi. 4 pi it is. Nicely done. Which means I should be able to figure out what the A value is. Right, we've done a stretch by 2. So there's my A value right there. Okay, write me a sine function. Write me a sine function. Fireproof form. describe to me in words where HK sits on a sine wave? Center line? Under a max? No. Several of you chose under a max, thinking it was a cosine wave. Doesn't it have to be on the way up the hill as you look from left to right? That would be a great choice right there for HK. So would this one over here, but nobody chose it. I didn't see anybody choose negative 3 pi. But that would have worked. I saw several people choose 1 pi, right? So you had x minus pi in your numerator. It does. If it's x plus pi, then you're shifting me over here, and that is not on the way up the hill. That's on the way down the hill. Right? HK has to be on the way up the hill on that center line for a sine function. So, lots of good thinking. So we had y minus 2 over 3 equals sine of x minus pi over 2. Lots of you had the others right. It's the h that was the hard part in that situation. Ooh. That's a tangent function. Now, I'm not going to, listen to me, I'm not going to do a vertical stretch or shrink on a tangent because it's too difficult to graph unless you're going to graph individual points. It's a pain in the butt. This one has a horizontal stretch or shrink. We graphed the other day a tangent function, and when we did just a plain old tangent function, we saw that it had vertical asymptotes at negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. All right? And then each one of these little things in the middle. What was the period of that function? The period of that function was pi. Take a look at this one and see what you think the period is. Okay, I got to vote for pi over 2. I think that person is looking here and saying, okay, those would be my vertical asymptotes. Is it true that the distance between those vertical asymptotes is pi over 2? Well, according to the scale, every 4 blocks is pi. So that would be half of pi, or pi over 2. Now, what does that mean about a horizontal stretch or shrink? If the period of my new function is pi over 2. We multiplied times a, so what does that mean about a? It was a shrink by 1/2. Okay, so write me a fireproof form. What's my h and k? Oh, right there it is, 0, 0. So what do you got? Y equals tangent x over 1/2 is correct. We didn't do a very complicated one there. We kept the vertical and horizontal movement to 0. There'll be a